Okay, so now let's move on to a banana. Okay, sugar's not quite even, so I'm just going to keep folding it a little bit. And I mean even by temperature, therefore by texture, right? As I keep saying, if it's warmer, it's softer. If it's cooler, it's harder. And I want even temperature, therefore even texture when I'm blowing, because if an area of the fruit or the sugar itself is cooler, it won't expand as much as the warmer area. And sometimes what you can do in order to try to counteract that is the softer part or the warmer part, move it a little bit more towards your hair dryer when you're blowing. So that will cool it a little bit more faster, therefore also provide a little bit more resistance. Okay, that's one way that you can use to try to fix an issue. But I always say, take your time at this point. Like, the cavity is the foundation of your fruits or any type of blown sugar. If your cavity is not even in texture, in thickness, in temperature, you will not be able to blow something evenly. As you've seen so far, everything starts with a sphere. So if that sphere is not properly built or inflated, it won't blow evenly. Now, if your sugar, for instance, is a bit too cool, depending on how your setup is, if your lamp is a bit too hot and your sugar cools a little bit too much, how can you warm it up? In the microwave. Now you have to be careful. If it's at this stage here, I would say maybe a 10-15 second is enough. So when you put sugar in the microwave, never put it in the microwave, set it and forget about it. That doesn't work for this, okay? What happens when you put sugar in the microwave? It will heat up in spots. So it may be hard on the outside here, but you may start building little pools of liquid sugar. And when you come and grab that sugar, this is when you're going to burn yourself, definitely. Okay, so be very careful. Why microwave? Microwave act on 3 types of molecules. Sugar molecules, fat molecules, and water molecules. What do we have here? Mostly sugar, right? Some people may argue there's a bit of moisture left. Yes, there's a tiny bit of moisture left, but that's not significant enough. Now, when you keep working your sugar like this is sucrose. Remember, sucrose is the crystal form. It wants to go back into a crystal form. So at one point, if you've been working with the same sugar over and over, you've recycled your scraps, you've put them back in, you've warmed them up. What happens is the sugar may start to crystallize on you. And you will see, once it starts crystallizing, it goes very white. It completely changes in color. Yellow, of course, because it's yellow, but you will see the color changing. It becomes much more milkier, as we say. Also, you will start seeing grains. Those grains will not disappear as you warm up your sugar. Those grains will simply multiply. And at one point, the whole mass will crystallize. Once it starts crystallizing, you will start to see it visually, and you start losing elasticity. It has no elasticity. You pull it and suddenly it just breaks apart. Okay? So you're losing your sugar. What can you do at that point? There's nothing you can really do with that sugar. You simply have to discard and start a new batch. Okay? It's unfortunate, but it will happen. And when it happens to a student, I always say, hey, give me that sugar. Please provide me that sugar. We will show the class what happens. Because it doesn't happen all the time, but it happens at least once a block, and I like to share that with my students. Okay, so see, this is a little bit cold. So I'm going to warm it up in the microwave for a few seconds. I'll be right back. All right, here we are. So this was about 9-10 seconds, and I see a huge difference already. So my sugar now is ready. Okay, so let's blow. What should we blow? So we have a couple more fruits to blow. Let's move on to the peach. Now in your fruit display, it could be a peach, it could be an apricot, it could be what I call a prune or a plum, same technique, just different sizes. Okay. So for the peach, we'll start with 100 grams of sugar. Again, making that sphere, cutting so I maintain that shape. Again, I have my sphere here. Perfect, 103, I'm okay with that. Cavity. And you'll see once you start doing cavities, once you've done quite a bit of sugar, the cavity becomes very easy. Again, even. Let's close it a little bit. Just like so. Okay, warm up the tip of our copper pipe. If there's residue sugar there, don't worry, actually it's actually a good thing because your pipe will just stick a little bit better. So don't worry about sugar residues on your copper pipe, okay? Of course you don't want any chunky or different colors, but okay. Well sealed again. See, too soft again, so let's inflate that. We can already partially shape that. All right. And you see, there, I'm starting to have my shape. Now, as I say, if you look, gravity takes it down, meaning it's too hot. Therefore, cool. I'm pulling gently, right? Just making sure that I'm happy with the shape. Now, I'm still a bit too small for peach. However, my sugar is a bit too soft. So I'm going to pull it a little bit more. Okay. Inflate it a little bit more, trying to get some resistance here, that's what I want. Yes, a bit more air. And you see the fur is starting to expand? Okay. All right. I still have my nice sphere here. Okay. Cool one side of it. So now, with a paring knife, I need to make that distinctive crease of the peach, right? Doesn't have to be too big, too deep. When we airbrush, the way we airbrush it will emphasize that crease, okay? So I'm going to put a little bit on top here, a little bit of pressure on top. And with my hand at the back, I need to support the fruit. And I'm going to build that crease. You can either go with the sharp edge or the back edge. Just be careful, please, not to cut yourself because this is dangerous. This could also be done with your scissors if you wish, okay? Start from the bottom. And I don't apply too much pressure at first. So I'm not sure if you see it here. We're starting to build that peach here. Okay. Let's put it down a little bit more. I'm going back. Okay, you see it here. I'm going to cool this a little bit more. This side, because if I put more air into it, the crease is going to open up. It will disappear. Okay. Give a little bit more air into it to try to get that shape a little bit more round here. There we go. Yes. A little bit on top. And I'm not applying much pressure here, guys. Just a gentle pressure. Okay, pull this a little bit. Alright, can you see it? I'm happy I have my peach now. Let's cool this. Now you may do some research on YouTube, and you may find people that do peach pears and apples slightly different. This is the way we do it here, and it works. I recommend using this method, this technique, because you do have a video and explanations. However, a different technique or different way of blowing it may just work as well for you. Right? It's like many things. It's not just one way of doing certain things. Say our trade is an art, right? So okay, let's feel this. It's almost there. It feels a little bit warm still. That happens to me sometimes. I start blowing a fruit, and right at the beginning I know, oh, something's not well, something's not working out. With experience, it's going to work out. It's dodgy a little bit, maybe. Sometimes you're able to, save the fruit. So in your assignment, if you have to present 2 fruits of each, I recommend do 3, because at one point there may be some breakage, okay? Plus, when you have 3, you can choose the 2 best ones. If you have just 2, it could be a little bit more tricky sometimes. Because sometimes, we can break something through transport, through, when we do the coloring phase of the fruit, or once we start assembling the fruits onto the fruit display. This is when sometimes accidents happen, and that's why I like to have a backup. Okay, feels cool. It's a little bit warm, You don't want to rush it, you better take your time. Cool it a little bit more than not enough. What happens if you remove it too soon? You're going to set your fruit on the tray, and what happens, the ambient air is quite warm, so the fruit stays warm for a long time, and when it's weighed, it collapses. It sags with its own weight. And you come in the next morning or an hour later, you look at it, my God, my fruit wasn't this flat, now it's quite flat. Maybe it was removed a little bit too soon. Or maybe the sugar was not cooked correctly, undercooked. or too much acid. Okay. Same idea here. Wait a few seconds. A little bit more. A twisting motion. If you can twist normally, you'll be able to pull. There you go. Cut the thread with flame, and there we are. All right, I need to remove this. Same technique as we did for the apple. Exact same thing. So, let's go over the flame. As I said earlier, not on the flame, but over the flame. Now the outside of the fruit of the sugar gets liquid. It's too hot to touch it now. I'm waiting for a few seconds for the heat to work its way through the sugar. So I can remove this little knob here. All right. And again, I rotate. I don't try to snip all at once. And you can see here. Off the heat, always. Let's turn this upside down. Now it's a little bit too much of a base there. Let's go back here. This is when we're going to trim it a little bit. Okay. So you can decide to have your peach a little bit pointy at the tip, or you can decide to have it a little bit more flat. That is up to you. So I'm just going to remove a little bit more here. Same here, modeling. Complete the crease a little bit. And there you have it. A peach. Same technique for an apricot or a plum or prune. I would say there. There. Good. I would say if you want to make one of those, this is 100 grams, scaled back to 35, maybe 40 grams. Okay? And also, oh, it just tipped over, but that's okay. It also depends on the color. This is what brings your fruit to life. Now the peach, the apple, the pear, they just look yellow for now. But depending on how we're going to color them, you will see they completely bring to life. The color brings them to life. Okay, so that's it for the peach. If you choose to do an apricot, go ahead. A plum, go ahead. What we do now to give them that fuzzy aspect, we airbrush them, and then right away we roll them in cornstarch. We'll let them sit a little bit. Then we dust off the cornstarch a little bit, and they get that fuzzy look, which is really cool. All right, it really stands out in your display because you have your other fruits that are shiny, and then you have your pear or peach, I should say. I'm sorry. That's got that little fuzzy look. Okay, that's the peach for you. 100 grams. Apricot, plums, 35 to 40 grams. Thank you.